Hi my shells, it's seqshell here and welcome back or welcome to my channel if you're new. So in basically every comment section of all of my videos, I get so many comments about how I build, where I got my building style, what color is this, what furniture did you use. So today I'm going to be showing you some of my favorite textures, colors, furniture, what I do to fill up space, and just giving you a bunch of information about my building style and things that I use. First of all, if you don't like lots of pink and green and aesthetic builders, I would just click off the video. But if you do, then you're in the right place because I kind of have an obsession with pastels and clutter. It's definitely dialed down a lot from what it used to be, but it's still definitely there. So anyways, the first thing I'm going to be going over is how I found my building style, how expensive my building style is, and how long it typically takes. So basically, I found my building style through YouTube and Instagram. It became a trend probably last year. People were building basically with lots and lots of clutter, and I was obsessed with it. And then I saw a house that was super cluttered with all pink, and it blew my mind. I had to do it. So basically social media is how I found the building style, but I just changed it up to my own standards and I combined green into the pinkness. I'm definitely not as huge of a fan as I used to be with it. I do still really like it, but I'm just not as obsessed as I used to be, which I think is a good thing because it was not good. If you're trying to find a new building style, that's honestly what I would suggest, is to just go on Instagram and search up the hashtag Bloxburg, and you'll see a bunch of people's buildings and interiors and bedrooms and everything like that. And it's honestly one of the most helpful ways that I have found new building styles. Anyways, next is how expensive is my building style, and it is very expensive. I don't know if it's just because I'm a Bloxburg YouTuber and obviously almost every week I'm building something new and I typically don't delete things that often, so I don't know if it's that, but I go through money so quickly. I don't even want to know how many Robux I've spent in this game and how many hours I've worked to get money. As for how long it takes, it honestly depends because most of the time I am filming when I'm building, and my videos typically take like an hour to record, 40 minutes to an hour basically. But when I'm building off camera, I honestly don't really pay attention. Typically I'll be watching a movie, so it just depends how long I am willing to build for. So yeah, I would say my building style takes a bit of time, but I don't really sit in one position for that long to know, so I'm not really sure. So the second question is my favorite decorations that I use to fill up space. So if I go ahead and get into build mode, I will show you some of my favorite decorations I use. Overall, I am just obsessed with plants. You can see that I use plants everywhere, as well as vases. I love using them. We have more vases here, vases, I don't know how you say it, more plants. Lots of books, mugs, and cute little decals. So those are my top favorites probably, mostly just the plants and vases. But if you go into like any of my builds, you will see that I mostly just use plants and like coffee mugs everywhere. Some of my top favorites are these clear vases. I especially love this one, the round decorative vase. I love this cactus plant, love this tall decorative vase. This is one of my favorite vases, the squared vase. Love it so much. I use that all the time. And I use these regular ordered plain books all the time. I don't really use the ones that are like off level. I don't know why I'm not a huge fan of those, but like something like this I feel like just wouldn't fit my theme. So you just have to kind of think about what would fit the theme you're trying to go for, I guess. I don't really know how to describe this. I feel like I'm not being very helpful at all. An industrial pipe may look cool in like a realistic house, however my pastel theme, definitely not. Ooh, and things that you can't color, never. I will never use those. Like this pizza box, you can't color. I mean, why would you be able to color anything in it? But it's a no for me. These books that are like already made and have writing on them, absolutely not. Haven't used those since these books came out. Here again, this ancient mask is just kind of something that doesn't really fit the theme of my house, and it's definitely as well personal preference. For example, this plant is probably my least favorite plant in the game. I just really don't like how big and bulky it is, but someone else might really love this plant, and that's totally okay. I just realized that I was saying like my favorite decorations in general, so we're not going to talk about that. But anyway, my favorite decorations to fill up space would definitely be plants. My favorite one is always this one, the overgrowth floor plant. I love this plant with my whole heart. It's my favorite. I also really love this elegant plant. One of my favorite things to fill up space is just adding one of these little ladder shelves somewhere with a bunch of cute decorations, and just see this corner without it, super boring. I mean, there's just like nothing there, and then with the ladder there, it's just so much better. Also, try to think of what would be in that room. So for the living room, I also put some wood here because there's a fireplace right here. Obviously, I wouldn't add this in the kitchen because there's no fireplace in the kitchen. And then I just add kind of bookshelves and shelves everywhere. So I just have this shelf here. Also, try to play around with build hacks and everything. I just combined one of these shelves and then a couple of these, and then this came out when I was building my house, so I was just playing around with that and I ended up liking it, so I left it there. And again, with combining things, I have two of these tables and then the desk in the middle to just kind of fill up the wall space a little bit more. Another thing is you can add seating areas. Seating areas take up a lot of space, which is super, super nice. My favorite couch is definitely this tufted armchair. I love it so much. And also, of course, adding coffee tables, especially if your living room is really big, definitely add a coffee table and like little tables next to your seats. A couple people asked about my favorite windows and my favorite counters. I did post a community tab, by the way, so that's what I'm kind of going off of. So if there's something in this video that I didn't cover, you can ask in the comments and I will try my best to respond. Anyways, so for my favorite counters, I would definitely say, let me go look in counters first of all. So my favorite cheapest one is the arch counter right here. This is my favorite cheapest one, and it's definitely still not cheap. Then I would say this craftsman counter. I've been using this in a house that I've been building on a different plot. I really like these ones. And if I'm going for a modern vibe, or I want a counter with no like little ledge thing, you know, like this part, I use this modern counter. I'm talking about like this ledge, by the way. I don't know if that made sense. Honestly, I like most of the newer windows. I'm just not a huge fan of the windows that have been in the game for a long time, such as this small sunset window. I don't really use it ever. My go-to is the traditional window. You guys see me use this one so much. I'm obsessed with it. However, I have been using this clear window, resizing it, adding some structural items, and making a custom window. Really love doing that. That's been looking really cool. So then for my favorite lighting, always this one, sleek ceiling lighting. I'm obsessed with it. I've been using it for years. I love it so much. I also really like this one, industrial pendant. I love the industrial linear chandelier as well as the industrial round chandelier. Oh, this one, the industrial floor lamp. I like this one, and it's really nice to put in living rooms for a little bit more space coverage, you know? And I typically color them linen, which I've been kind of sometimes using flint. It doesn't look good in this house, obviously, but I've been building a realistic house, trying to at least, and I've been using flint, and that's been really nice. I've also seen some people use oyster if you're trying to go for a brighter vibe, but never ever use white. Oh my gosh. So for doors, I typically use the transitional ones, so like this is the door frame version. I like the modern ones. All the modern ones are always cute. Favorite textures. So let's just go over the whole texture catalog and I'll show you which ones I typically use. Sometimes I use plaid for like blankets or something, or as you can see, like the towel texture. So usually if I have a towel or blanket that I'm trying to do, I use plaid. I use this one a lot, overlapping circles, modern trellis, if that's how you say that. I don't know. I love that one. That's probably my favorite. I like groovy lines for carpets. Obviously smooth plastic and plastic. I don't know the difference. Does anybody know the difference between these two? Please let me know. Metal roof, really like that one, especially for like plant vase jar things. I like concrete. Sometimes I use cobblestone. Sometimes I use detailed tiles. Sometimes large mosaic tiles. Sometimes I use the small rounded tiles. You can see it right here already. My go-to floor texture is always the planks long. I really like this one. Sometimes you can also layer this and it looks really cool too. And wood, obviously. Those are basically the textures I use. A couple specific texture questions came up. So my favorite roof texture is typically either just this plain smooth plastic. I do like this one, asphalt shingles, if I said that right, I don't know. And typically for wall textures, I honestly just use plastic or smooth plastic. I know, so boring. But my favorite for outside, I use it literally in like every build basically, is horizontal planks. I love this. It's the best for the outside. Okay, so now is finally my color scheme. Obviously seashell. I am seashell. I have been not recently, but for a while loving light reddish violet. I used to not like this color, but now I love it. I used to be obsessed with pastel orange, but now I just use it here and there on like plants. Not the actual plant part, like the vase, you know. Of course, you guys know I'm obsessed with sage green. Whenever I'm using yellow, I use wheat right here, and that's typically for like door handles, wood, that's about it. Institutional white on like pillars and things like that, wall trims. Linen for my floors, and sometimes just other wood. For plants, I honestly use every green and just try to make them all look different. I do love sage green, but also at the same time, I sometimes like a darker moment, like with slime green or earth green. Also, someone was asking about my grass color. I use laurel green for my grass color in my town. Oh, and I forgot ghost gray. Ghost gray is like my go-to wall color. It goes with everything. And sometimes, a slim chance, sometimes when I use different colors, I will just go through the rainbow. Red? No, I don't use red. Pink is the new red. Red in this game are just not great. Orange, I typically use pastel brown. Yellow, I already said. Wheat, I only use wheat. Green, it's always sage green. If I'm trying to go with a different green, I just don't. Sage green's the only good option for me. Blue, I typically use just ghost gray, but sometimes I use fog. And sometimes on carpets, like the outline, I'll use cadet blue. I don't know how to say that. Cadet blue, I don't know. And then purple, I don't really use purple because the purples in Bloxburg suck. They have no options. Oh, brown. I am obsessed with dark taupe. I sometimes incorporate it for like a little pop of darker color, but honestly all the browns are nice. Anyway, I think that goes over all the colors I use for the most part. So number 6 is my favorite gardening objects. So you can see here that I have some of these gardening. I like the tulips, wildflowers, lilies, daisies, compact bush, tall natural plants, and that's about it for that. Oh my gosh, if you guys are still playing Bloxburg during the Christmas update, put 50,000 trillion billion million of these illuminated bushes in your inventory. These are the cutest bushes to ever exist. They are the best. I also sometimes use the sunflower and the mushrooms over here. What are these called? Oh, mushrooms. For a big tree, I will use the organic tree. For the second biggest tree, the rough tree. And then for just other basic trees, and you can obviously resize them too. Like you can see here that these two are the same tree, but different sizes. I love the rough cypress so much, so cute. I also love the fine cypress as well as the pine tree. If you're placing a bunch of trees, I definitely suggest to color them differently like I did. You don't have to incorporate pink if you don't want to, but definitely make them like this one's kind of the medium tone, this one's the lightest, and this one's the darkest. So definitely try to mix those up to make it look a little bit more realistic. Not that I can talk with my pink trees. Okay, so number 7 is something I get asked all the time, which is how I make my decals and where I find the inspo to make them, where I find the images that I use to go along with them. So my decals are always super bland and boring, like literally it's just a word on there, and you can use literally any website to do that probably. I personally use Adobe Photoshop, which does cost $20 a month, but it's worth it for me because as you can see I use it quite often, and I also use it for my thumbnails if you wondered. I hopefully will be making a tutorial soon on my second channel, so make sure to subscribe to that channel if you want to. As you can see, I have like for this one, Marlon's Mopeds, we have a cute little moped image. And I basically find those just off of Google. I'll just search moped PNG, which basically means it's transparent, and I will put that on, color it differently, and that's that. And if you want to find the like correct size for the pictures, all I do is look up, I think it's Bloxburg Wikipedia. You can just find the decal that you want, and then it'll say the measurements, and I basically multiply that by like 2 or 3 because the text looks like so grainy if I use the original size because it's so small. So I multiply that number by like 2 or 3, and then I find an image on Google, and then I just color the background and everything and change it up. I hope that helped explain some things until I make a tutorial eventually. So now I'm going to go over my favorite building tips and tricks that I typically use in a lot of my builds. First of all, you can see this one here. I will go ahead and give an example of this. So basically what you want to do is get the square stepping stone, and this is not my tutorial. I don't remember who made it. I'm so sorry. But you just want to put them like, see, this is normal, rotate it twice on the medium grid, and then put it in between the square. Like you see the lines here, you put them in between the square like this, and then you want to get your other color, and I'm not sure if you can use any texture, I honestly have no idea, but then you want to put these like in between, like where the grid crosses, I guess, if that makes sense. And then you want to take the plane marking and basically just cross it on the lines. If you want the actual tutorial, I will try to link one in the description. I'll try to find who actually made it. I honestly have no idea, and if any of you know, please tell me. I do this this all the time. It's like a little glass wall window thing. It's my favorite. I love doing it. So I'll just add this little wall here and then color that to be just regular. And then you can use any of these modern windows. I like the modern square one the best for this. And then you can grab a pillar. I like to use the plain pillar, put it down there, and that's it. It's just a nice little border between rooms if you need it. I don't know. When I do like a roof, what's this called? The gable roof, I think. I want to do this. Basically, all I do is take a standard square beam and then I keep it on the medium grid. And then you press T on your keyboard and you can kind of just put it up in the roof and then drag it down like that. You can just like make it look more realistic, I guess. And then put it kind of in the middle there and then drag it up. I'm not good at explaining things, but I do this quite often if I have a gable roof. I just think it makes it look more detailed. So when I do a path, I typically add just the rectangular stepping stone and then the square stepping stones just all over the place over top of them. And it makes a cute little path to go different directions and everything. And as you can see, I also did that here. I actually just came up with this when I was building the town layout back in May. And I just thought that it looked really harsh with like, see this with the grass just boom cutting off right at the concrete. Like it's just really harsh. So basically I just added a few of these little things and it kind of makes it look like the path kind of fades out, you know, in a way. I don't know, maybe it doesn't, but I just think it looked nicer. Oh, this thing. This is one of my favorite things to do. This is going to be my future flower shop, so sneak peek for that, I guess. I love doing this little flower pillar. I think it looks kind of stupid, but at the same time, it's really cool. I got this from a French Rose's thumbnail. I saw that in one of her thumbnails, and I was like, I want to do that. So I just kind of recreated it the best I could. I don't know if that's exactly how they did it. Probably not. Anyway, you just stack a bunch of these cake stands in any way that you want to. I typically do mine like alternating, like it goes up and then left and then right and then left and then right, you know? You have to specifically place each of these little flowers and it's kind of tedious, but it ends up looking really cute. Let me know if there's anything else that you guys have seen me do that you guys want to know how I build it. Like if there's a specific video that you know, like, oh, I want to know how she did that, then like maybe make a timestamp in that video and I'll know where you're coming from. Anyways, I really hope that helped. If there's any questions whatsoever that you have about my building style, how I make decals, anything like that, please let me know and I will seriously try my very best to get back to you. I reply to most comments for about like a half hour when I upload the video and then I come back a little bit later. If you see a question that you also want to know that someone already commented, make sure to like their comment and then it'll be at the top so I can definitely see it. But yeah, I really hope this helped. I'm so sorry if this was confusing in any way. Again, make sure to subscribe to my second channel because I will very soon be doing a decal tutorial on there, and I also have a few other videos with Alex and just playing other games and stuff like that. Anyways, I hope you guys have a great week and I will see you in my next video. Bye, my shells!